I'm Billy Hollowell, and welcome to Newsmakers, a show where we bring you interviews with pastors, actors, entertainers, and other notable news figures. On today's show, we're going to be getting into some fascinating topics, but before we do, if you are not subscribing to Newsmakers, make sure you head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe right now. Give us a rating. We love 5-star reviews. This is a show where you're going to dive deep into important issues with amazing people. With no further ado, here is today's show. On today's Newsmakers, Pastor Matthew Barnett of the Dream Center in California is seeing revival amid the chaos of the California fires. He joins us to talk about the power of prayer and the wonderful work he and his organization are doing to feed, clothe, and house those in need. With no further ado, here is Matthew Barnett. Matthew Barnett, a lot to talk about. You have been on the front lines over the past week. It's really been unimaginable watching these wildfires. Take us through from a 30,000-foot view what this has been like for you to experience this past week.
It's been the most transformational era of my entire life. You know, when advisory went out, we were evacuated, and we've been evacuated most of the time. I think I had one day to go back where I was actually able to come back to my house to get a shower with the police allowing me to go in. It's just crazy to see all that was taking place as I was really next to it, my house. And so that started the process of me moving to the Dream Center. And then when I got here, I just told our team, I said, look, there's going to be a lot of need. There's going to be a lot of chaos. Let's just make ourselves available, which I didn't really know what that meant. But I do know that we had some floor space available for our youth groups that usually come in the spring and the summer. So we had some opportunity to house people. So let's just house everybody on that floor who wants to come. And then I said, how much food do we have? And they said, well, we have a day's worth of food. And I said, well, let's just throw everything out there and just start serving people, see what happens. And then the first day it was kind of mild. And then when we got to Wednesday, it turned into the most unbelievable experience as thousands of people were coming through that line. I mean, literally just thousands. And we opened the line at 9. We said we're going to close at sundown, and then that didn't work. So we just kept it going until 7 p.m. And so ever since then, we're in that first phase of responding, and it's been 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And on one day, we had 1,200 volunteers show up on our blacktop, and we were able to mobilize every single one of them. And wow. LA was rallying like I've never seen before. And we're still doing it today. You know, we're feeding people. They're coming through the line, and we're learning a lot about what they've lost. You know, we've done $3,000, $5,000 checks we're able to give away to families that we knew of who are directly impacted by this. So it's just one of those things where you step out and you go and you use what you have. You learn along the way, and then the need begins to draw you towards the plan. And that's the way it's always been at the Dream Center.
Yeah, I mean, the Dream Center is no stranger to helping people in need, housing people, assisting people, guiding people, spiritually meeting physical needs. This is really heavy. I mean, I know you obviously know people directly impacted, but you're hearing these stories, as you mentioned, as people are coming through to get food. How are you processing those stories, and maybe even share a couple of them with us? Help us understand beyond the numbers and the news, the real impact this has had on people.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not responding very well because I've never been encountered by anything like this. You know, people are coming through our food line, which has become an unbelievable place of gathering of tears. It's been a place where people share their pain. Had a family last night pull up, and they said, would you let us just sift through the bags and the cases of food that you have? We've lost everything. I go, what do you mean? We lost our home. I said, and you've lost everything? They said, yes, everything we have goes in that mortgage. Everything we have goes into surviving. Altadena here, very working class family, very integrated community, one of the first integrated communities up there in the foothills. And I looked him in the eye and I said, I'm just so sorry. I've never been in a place like that where people just, they look at you as if their whole world had collapsed, and it has. And so we're just kind of, walking them through, do you need housing for a month? Do you need housing? And just trying to assess it. But people are they're pulling up and they're just crying on our shoulder. And they're showing us pictures of their families growing up and how long they've lived there and memories. And I just, as a pastor, feel like anything you say is not going to be enough. And all you have to do is just, be there for them and pray for them. But it's just devastating because a lot of families that we're working with in Altadena, their whole life and pride and joy is working hard to be able to have a house in LA, which is very hard to do, to have. And so that's kind of a lot of their heart and soul and identity is found in working hard just so they could have that. And so it's really, and then small businesses that did survive. There's a lot of work to do coming up at the Dream Center as we move beyond the respond phase into the recover phase.
Yeah, right now you mentioned you're in that respond phase. And I mean, how are you logistically? You mentioned 1,200 people coming in. How are you getting the food? How are you getting the resources? How are you able to get all this together in a way so cohesively? Because it's incredible to watch that people can come to you and be served in the midst of so much disconnection and chaos structurally around you.
Yeah, I think COVID, when we did the food line, really prepared people to understand that the Dream Center gets what they give and gets it to the front lines fast. And I think the infrastructure that's been built in here over the years with 600 residents that live here allows us to move very, very fast and to do things quick because we have an army that's built into the campus. So I think we built in a really good reputation through COVID of just like moving and responding and delivering. But the outpouring that we got, it's just been like unbelievable. It was so much. We had to change the whole traffic pattern for drop-offs over here and there. And at one time, we had drop-offs that were coming up every 10 minutes all the way till midnight.
Wow.
And Andrew, Chef Gruel over there in Huntington Beach, man, he's going nuts. He's bringing 8 or 9 deliveries a day. He's showing up at 11 o'clock and he's bringing lobster rolls for our staff that worked hard all night long. And I think one of the great needs in a crisis like this too, I feel like Jim Carrey in that movie Yes Man, where he said yes to everything. That's kind of our vision, is to say yes to everything because we're going to need it going forward. We're going to use it going forward. And there's something that is coming alive, like there's different actors. We've had Christina Aguilera and JoJo Siwa and sending me messages, private messages saying, hey, what can I do to serve? And how can I bring awareness? And Snoop Dogg put it on his page. I've never even met Snoop Dogg. And he put it right there on his front page, go get behind the Dream Center. So LA is looking for someone who's ready to jump and leap and to get behind. And I think it's great during a crisis like this, people can look back over their lives and say, when we went through a crisis, the church was there. So many times they say the opposite, but I always want people to know that we were there in hard times.
And you bring me to something there that I think we can't avoid talking about, and that's the spiritual dimension, right? Because it all goes together. People need the physical needs right now, right? They've lost their homes, they don't have food, they need the things that you're providing. The spiritual side of this as well. What are you seeing happen there? Because events like this raise a lot of questions. Why, God? Why did you allow this? And I know this is longer than we can get into today, but talk a little bit about the spiritual needs you're seeing and how those are being met.
I see a lot of it being met in 2 different ways. Number one, the volunteers who work there. I mean, this is a community we have never seen before. I mean, it's every type of demographic you could imagine in a city like this is coming together to serve. And as people are working 10 hours a day so joyfully, and I'm talking to them as they're serving and sorting out, we'll play worship music and then we'll play like a pop song, they'll be like, I like the song. I never heard it before. What is it? And they were just talking about God while we're working together with this whole new community. And as people going through the line, the greatest question you can ask is, can I pray for you? And everybody wants prayer. And it really is kind of a revival in action where people just want to know that God is there. But I'm really seeing it in a very unusual way through a lot of the volunteers rubbing shoulders all day long and asking questions about like, why do you do what you guys do? And one guy heard a worship song for the first time over the loudspeaker as he was working. And he came from the West Hollywood area. And he's like, I like this song. Is this a new song? I go, no, it's just a Christian song. It's been out like 20 years, but everything feels new to so many people. And it's so exciting. And LA's lonely. There's a lot of people that will go through the line just to be prayed for now. We helped them, we served them. And one person just drove through the other day and said, I just want to be around the positive energy, and so it's just, it really is a gathering place. It's a revival place. It's a place where people are being told about Christ. It's a place of people being prayed for. And it really reminds me of an Acts 29 type of church in action.
So you would say there's an openness, because I've talked to some other people who
Oh
have
my
said
goodness.
they've asked people to pray. One guy went in, one pastor, right after everything happened, and every person he talked to wanted prayer. They even allowed him to read the Bible. And he's like, on a normal day, none of these people would have been interested, but only one person said no. And he was really blown away by that. Would you say you're seeing that same openness among people who maybe they don't know the gospel, maybe they don't know the truth, but they're open in these moments?
Oh my goodness. No, they're not just open, they are telling you stuff that you're not even asking them. I mean, they are volunteering like their lives, what's going on, and just by listening and asking them questions. And then you say, you know what? Really, God is with you. We're going to do a big old thing at the church. We're going to honor all the volunteers that came out and have a big day and bring them all to church. They've never been to church before. And then we're going to share the gospel and just have them there and love on them. Tell them we're thankful for what you've done and get them into a church for the first time. And that's the way to really engage this community. Serving is the greatest way to engage people that do not know the Lord, because everybody can rally around that. Everybody can get behind the fact that the gospel inspires you to do great things and to love people in practical ways. And it's an unbelievable open door to be able to share why you do it and what inspires you to make that change.
And you guys are doing that so beautifully. Now, a lot of people are watching or hearing this. As a final question, how can they help you? How can people come alongside the Dream Center in the midst of what is going on there?
Well, they can certainly go to dreamcenter.org, and help us. We've taken on and donate. We've had 180 different residents now that we've added to our campus. Many of them will be here long term. So that's a big issue for us. I mean, you have that many bodies on your campus. You go from 6 to 780 overnight, and that's like a huge jump in what it takes to keep the Dream Center going. But we're also going to go one-on-one. We have 100 families working with right now to rebuild their lives in very specific ways. So that's the thing about the Dream Center, man. We walk this out long term. And so that would be a great help to us to be able to support in any way, donate in any way, because everything that we've ever done, we were the last to leave COVID, we were the last to leave, and everything. We'll be the ones that will see this through all the way to the end.
Well, I so appreciate you taking the time. You guys are feeding, you are clothing, you are housing, and you're doing much more. And people can head over to your website if they want to take part. Thanks for taking time today.
What a joy to be with you. You've always been on the front lines every time. Thank you.
That's all for today's Newsmakers. I'm Billy Hollowell. Make sure you head on over and rate this show on your favorite podcast platform. Let your friends and family know to listen as well. We have new episodes Monday through Friday on your favorite podcast platforms. You can also watch the Newsmakers TV show on the CBN News channel. That show airs once a week with 3 incredible interviews with newsmakers. Be sure to head on over and watch that, and also head over for more interviews to the CBN News YouTube channel and cbnnews.com. I'll see you again very soon for another Newsmakers.